Hi, my name is Jeff Warner, Territory Sales Executive for Fierce Distributing Company, and I'm here today with Mark Gallo, owner of Holiday Pools and Spas. Mark reached out to me, said he wanted to add a little bit of life to a spa showroom area. So, Mark, could you tell us a little bit about that project?
Yeah, so we built, it's called a wet test room about a year ago. Didn't really get the best opportunity to finish it the way we truly wanted to finish it. We sell a really high-end brand of spas here, so we really want to create that type of atmosphere. When a person's in there, the barn doors are shut, we really want to show high class and elegance, and so that's why I reached out to you to see your product lines.
Perfect. And I think Mark picked some products from the Atlas Concorde, the redeemed 8x40 wood look that's going to be going on the floor, and the forged, the metal look, in an 18x36 on the side walls. And then to spice it up even more, he picked some Anatolia ledger stone and a lighter color for the back wall. So I really think that those looks are going to achieve your objective, Mark.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and let's get underway.
Sounds good. So this is the overall showroom space. I'll kind of pan around to show you. Pretty big area. I currently say Mark probably has about 20 spas in here, and then outside he has a lot of pools displayed. But anyway, this is the room that we are featuring right now. Mark was talking about, has the two wooden barn doors, has the lattice on top. But when you take a look at it, you can see just how kind of plain Jane it is. He originally had the VCT in there that he has out on the floor here, and then just painted walls. So what we're going to do is we're going to spice it up a little bit, and I'm going to show you samples of what's being used. So as we discussed, these are the three products that Mark picked. He picked the Atlas Concorde Redeemed. It's an 8x40 wood look plank. Very, very rustic. There's saw cuts in it, burn marks, a little bit of knots, not over the top of the knots, but very rustic. And that's obviously what he's trying to achieve with the lattice and the wooden doors. Hand scrape finish, beautiful product, high shade variation. One piece does not do this line any justice. You really have to see the finished floor to see the high variety. And then this is the forge, the industrial metal look. We're going with an 18x36 on the walls. We still haven't quite decided yet how we're going to run that, whether it be vertically or horizontally. And then on the back wall we have the Anatolia ledger stone. What do you think, Mark, that this is going to achieve for you?
Well, we picked the wood specifically to match the handmade barn doors and the pergola aspect, and it matches perfectly. It really does truly look aged and worn, which was the look we were going for. And then to bring it more to the high-end side, we went with the slate on the side walls, and then just so it wasn't dark on dark on dark, we went with the white glacier ledger stone, which is going to be on the back wall, just to help illuminate with natural light.
Right. Right. Well, let's get started. I'm going to show you some tips and techniques just about tile installation in general as we go along here, but I'm going to keep that pretty brief. I'm just excited to show you the final product.
Great, let's get started.
Okay, so for this particular installation, because it's a large format tile, we're using a product from Bostik called Big Tile and Stone. A large format tile is classified by the TCNA, the Tile Council of North America, as any tile greater in length in any direction of 13 inches. So these particular tiles, the Atlas Concorde Redeemed, are 8x40. So obviously the 40 inches is greater than 13, so you need to use a medium set mortar. Just to dumb things down, there's a lot of mortars out there, but basically you have thin sets and medium sets, unmodified and modified. Unmodified mortars do not have latex in them. We will not be using them on this application. That's mostly for Schluter products. Modified mortars do have latex in them, which makes it a little bit stickier, but it also requires a little more dry time. The difference between thin set and medium set mortars, a thin set mortar is for a small tile, 13x13 or smaller. So if you're using a 12x12 tile, you use a thin set mortar. It's just a thinner bed. A medium set mortar, such as Big Tile and Stone, is a thicker bed. It's a medium set, and really the only difference is the sand granules used in the body of the mortar are bigger. So it gives you a little more stability for those big tiles to sit on. In this case, we have 8x40 tile, so it's going to give us a nice bed. Plus, Mark's going to be putting a spa in here full of water. Who knows what that weighs, but we know it's a lot. Like car dealerships, you use medium set mortars because you're going to be driving cars across them and things like that. But full coverage is very, very important. You don't want any voids, especially when you're going to have all that load bearing. So I'm just going to show you the application. I didn't want to bog you down with showing you how to mix mud because that's pretty easy to properly mix mud. Just follow the instructions on the bag. I have a bucket here of the big tile and stone mixed up. So when you get started, hydration is very important. Your slab's like a sponge. It wants to suck water out of your mortar. So what you want to do is you want to give it a bath with a sponge first. We're just going to sponge that slab down for two reasons. To hydrate the slab, and number two, to get any dust off the floor so you get a good bond. Now we did shop vac this, but we just want to make sure it's nice and clean. We want to make sure that the first drink that slab takes is out of this water that I'm putting down, not the water out of the mortar, because that will make the pigments in the mortar weaker. So we want to give it a good drink before we start. Then what you're going to do is you're going to throw out some mortar, and you're going to take the flat side of the trowel, not the notched side, and you're going to burn it into the concrete. And this just helps you get that 100% coverage. And if you notice, because it's a large format tile and it's a medium set mortar, I want to get a nice heavy bed. Let me clean this up a little bit and show you. I'm using a 1/2 by 1/2 by 1/2 notch trowel. It's an extremely large bed of mortar that it's going to put down. If it was a thin set mortar, I'd use a 1/4 by 3/8 by 1/4. Leaves a little less mortar because you don't need that heavy bed for a smaller towel. So now that I've burnt that mortar into the concrete, I'm now going to trowel my columns. Get some mortar out here. And what you don't want to do, like a carpet guy may do, is swirl your mortar like that. Because what happens when you use that technique, you're going to put your towel down and it creates a bunch of air pockets in there. The air can't escape. So you're going to create voids in the towel. You want 100% coverage. So when you put that towel in there, you want all the rows to be going the same way. So when you drop that heavy towel in, all the air pushes out the sides. Then you rock it back and forth, and you have 100% coverage. And there's one last component to that 100% coverage, which I'll show you in a second. You want to back butter the tiles, because it fills in all the voids of the tile. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and rake my mortar all one direction. Now initially you can rake it, like this just to get your coverage. But your final rake, you want it to do it all in one direction. Okay. Okay, so this is a tile, and it's just a cut piece that I have. But you can see all the little cells in here, and they're actually indented by just the 1/16 of an inch. But what happens is, if you don't fill those up with mortar, and I just set this in those columns there, and I pulled it back out, you would see columns in here, rows. And there would be voids in between where there'd be no mortar. So technically that's not 100% coverage. The TCNA requires 80%, but because of the load bearing going into this job, with the hot tub going in here, we want to get 100%. So we've previously back buttered this towel. And the way that you do that, you just take the flat side of the trowel, throw some mortar on there, and just bake it into those cells so it fills in all those cells. Then what you do, now we're using a 33% offset here, or what's known as an Ashlar pattern. Instead of just running them straight, it breaks it up a little bit. Seems to be more popular for wood looks. So because it's a 39 3/8 inch tile overall, I have to offset them in thirds, which is 13 1/8 inches. So I have a little mark here That's 13 1/8 inches from there. Now you saw how I dropped it in. What you want to do, put a little bit of pressure on it, but more importantly, rock it back about 1/4 inch and forward 1/4 inch. Just a couple of times. And what that does, that brings all that mortar together. So if I pop that towel up and show it to you, you're going to have 100% coverage. Okay, so we're back at the office now, and the job for Mark has been completed. I did want to put a little more time into showing you how we did the walls. This is my 8-month-old puppy, by the way, that likes to chew just about everything. So anyway, we did the walls the same as we did the floors. We used a medium set mortar called Stone Wall from Bostik. Had those heavier sand granules. However, there's a little more latex in it, so when you're slapping those big 18 by 36s on the wall, it gives you a little more stability. I did want to talk a little bit about the grouts that we used though, and then I'm going to follow the video up with a final picture of the completed project. We used Bostik grouts. This is the channel selector, and there's basically a good, better, best, and then a superior. Our good is the sanded grout. It's just polymer modified sanded grout with pigment. Our better is the vivid. You don't have to seal the vivid. Dries very hard. It's a fast setting. There's no sand granules in it. It is a cement-based grout, so you do have to mix it with water. But what gives it its strength is the little tiny microscopic fibers, fiberglass fibers in it. So no issues with haze with that product. Very nice product. Our best is the True Killer. It is a pre-mixed urethane-based grout. Comes in a bucket. Open it up. You just mix it with the margin trowel. You don't have to spin it. Very, very high stain resistance. True Killer consistency, as is the Vivid, which I failed to mention. Antimicrobial, it won't crack. There's really a lot of bells and whistles with it. So we chose to use the True Killer grout on that product because of the chemicals from the spa and some of the things he may be using to clean it with. So that's going to be very chemical and stain resistant. And then the superior, obviously, is the epoxy grout. Typically not used in residential applications, more like food processing plants, commercial kitchens, and things like that. But I know Mark's very pleased with the project. He had a big sale, and everybody really just oohed and awed. And they really liked it, and I think we achieved his objective. Look forward to some more videos coming up. I'm going to be shooting some videos on our fluorinations and how to install that, as well as some other training videos as well. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.